Okay, hello again, everybody. In my last lecture, I'm going to explain what other types of priming experiments we have. In the previous lecture, we learned how to design semantic priming and syntactic priming experiments in CyclePy and how to build the input file. So in this lecture, I'm going to talk about subliminal and mask priming and cross-modal priming. But you should remember that you don't need to build a CyclePy file for these types of experiments, priming experiments. But it's a good idea to practice how to build a CyclePy file of these priming types, but you don't have to learn it for your homework or exam. Okay, now let's shift into full screen mode. So, subliminal priming. As the book explains, the aim of subliminal priming is to reduce or eliminate the possibility of conscious and strategic responding. So if you remember in my previous lecture, I said that our brain has a threshold for perception, which is 500 milliseconds. So anything which is below, any stimuli which is below 500 milliseconds are not perceived consciously. But it doesn't mean that it is not perceived at all. Let's say it is perceived subconsciously, but we cannot use our conscious memory, or let's say we cannot use the strategies to analyze and process that stimuli, those stimuli. So that's why, um, in order to remove the effect of strategies that brain use or conscious memory uses to process and analyze the stimuli, um, the prime words are displayed for very short time, which is below the perception threshold. For example, something between 10 and 100 milliseconds. And then the target word is displayed after, and participants must decide whether the shown word has been a word or non-word. So as you can see, the only difference between subliminal priming and let's say semantic priming is with this uh, amount of time that prime word is on the screen. So in semantic priming, pure semantic priming, we don't have limitation uh, on the amount of time that the prime word is remaining on the screen. But for subliminal priming, it shouldn't be more than 500 milliseconds. And it is recommended that it be on the screen somewhere between 10 and 100 milliseconds. So we will see that how easy it is to build the CyclePy experiment. The only thing that you need to do is to change the duration of time that the prime word is on the screen. So, what about mask priming? So, mask priming is a type of subliminal priming, and the only difference between mask priming and subliminal priming is that a set of masks, for example, in form of these hashtags, are displayed prior to showing the prime or target word, and it is done just to reduce or eliminate any influence from previous or upcoming primes. So remember that you have the first prime and then target, and then second prime and second target. So in order to reduce the effect of previous or upcoming primes, they put some tags prior to displaying the prime or target words. Uh, but again, uh, if the prime word is displayed for very short time, it is a kind of subliminal mask priming because it is below perception threshold. Okay, so as you can see, again, it is very easy to build this kind of priming in PsychoPy. Uh, the only difference between mask priming and subliminal priming in PsychoPy is that in mask priming you need a new routine, which is displaying these hashtag signs uh, on the screen for very short time, and then display the prime word for again 10 or 100 milliseconds. So as you can see, this is the routine. So in mask priming, you have the hashtags on the screen for some time, and then for 10 to 100 milliseconds you have your prime stimulus, which can be in form of audio, words, image, whatever. And then you have the masks again, and then you have the target words or target audio or picture, whatever. So in linguistics, we usually deal with audio and words than the video files or even the picture. And then the similarly, the priming time is recorded. So think about how the PsychoPy and the input file should look like, and send me your comments. Ask me any questions if you have. Okay, so this is subliminal priming. Yeah, so and this is the algorithm to help you how to build it in PsychoPy. We have a routine to show the masks. We have the target word for the prime word for very short time. Again, you have masks, and then you have the target word, related, unrelated, or non word, and you should ask participants to press the keys. So the only difference you can see here is addition of these masks. Okay, yeah, and then you should remember to store the correct response and reaction times. Okay, and the final type of priming is cross-modal priming. So as the name suggests, it's cross-modal. It is it's the combination of two modes of communication. For example, the audio and picture. So if you remember in syntactic priming, also participants heard something, heard an audio, listened to an audio file, and then they saw a picture and they produced something. So in cross-modal priming, participants hear the prime word, which is usually embedded in a full sentence, and then as soon as they hear the prime word, immediately after or after short delay, for example 700 milliseconds, the target word is shown on the screen. So you listen to something, you see something, and then they decide whether the target word is a word or non-word. So as you can see, the only difference between cross-modal priming and semantic priming, for example, is that in semantic priming, you see both prime words and target words, but here you hear the prime word within a sentence, and then you see the target word on the screen. But again, at the end, you decide whether the target word has been a word or non-word. So you can think of uh, how to change the semantic priming PsychoPy file to get cross-modal priming experiment. So as an example, participants hear this sentence: Tom asked the nurse to give him some painkillers to relieve the pain. So our prime word is nurse, and participants will see the word doctor immediately after hearing the word, after the offset of the word nurse, or after some time, for example, 200 milliseconds or 700 milliseconds. Uh, think about how to build the CyclePy file, and think about the possible challenges that you might have when you are building the input file or CyclePy file. Because as you can see, the prime word is within a sentence, and the target words should be displayed after the prime word. So the location of the prime word in our sentences are not fixed. For example, in this sentence, maybe the prime word is after 3 seconds from the onset of the sentence, but in the second sentence, maybe the prime word is somewhere in the middle of the sentence. So you might have a challenge, but think about it and think about the solution and suggestion how to solve the problem. Another thing that I want to mention is that the prime word should not be located at the end of the sentence or very close to the end, because it takes some time for the brain to process the prime word. So you should have some words in between, that is to the end of between the prime word and the end of the sentence, in order to give your brain the possibility of processing the prime word. All right, so that's it, and uh, I hope that you have enjoyed these lectures. Thank you.